This is Alvecote Priory. It was built in the 1100s, but it did have its own little church, and that's where we're going to go today. But before we do, let's have a little look around. Alvecote Priory is on the Heritage at Risk list. There used to be a car park here, but there isn't anymore. It was one of the measures that they took to try to reduce the amount of vandalism here. We're now inside the Priory walls. And as you can see, there is very little left of the Priory now. Just beyond me here, there is the canal, Coventry Canal. And on the other side of that was a great deal of mining. And where the mines have now collapsed has become lakes. Look, you can still see a hinge here. There's the wooden lintel. Well, it looks like a hornet up there. This is St Matthew's Church in Shuttington, and it was the church for Alvecote Priory, built in the 1100s. It's been restored 3 times, in the 1300s, in the 1800s and in the early 1900s. The bell in the church tower up there is from 1660. You can see that these are not the original windows, they were replaced at some point. But there's evidence of some earlier structures in the church. For example, here you can see an old archway. And particularly in the chancel, you can see one of the older style windows. I expect they were all like that originally. The graves that I've found so far date from the 1700s. This one is for Thomas here, who departed this life May the 7th, 1794, aged 41. This one is a similar age. This is Henry Ensor of Twycross. He died in 1780, and Anne, his wife, in 1787. We're in an amazing spot here. So in the far distance, you can see a little bit of lake, and that's the original mines, and Alvecote Priory is just beyond that. One of the interesting things about this graveyard is that the old graves and the new have been mixed together. I haven't often seen that. They must have been doing reburials at some point in existing plots. So if we look here, we have a batch of Robies. And the Robies were from Alvecote Priory. Samuel and Flora, 2 children. Samuel, 1857. And this is his footstone, Samuel Roby's footstone. I like this inscription. Although unschooled, he was a strong-minded man whose every thought, word and deed moved by rules of virtue, equity and piety. Oh my goodness, look at these. These are children. Wallace, who died on August the 15th, he was only a day old, and William, who died on August the 16th, and he was 2 days old. I think they must be twins. There's no year for Wallace, so I'm assuming that 1877 applies to them both. So Wallace and William, 2 little twins of Thomas and Susanna Chilwell. This one looks very old. There's not a lot left of it. It is William Marriott. William and Mary Twamley. I wonder if they're connected to the Twamleys at Newhall Mill in Sutton Coldfield. I think these are sisters here, Harriet and Anne Tunnicliffe, and they died just a few days apart. Is that July the 15th, 1851 and July the 20th, 1851. Harriet was 16 and Anne was 27. This is Anne Lunn. Here lies the mortal part of a beloved wife, prudent in all her conduct when in life, a tender mother too, and faithful consort here, though lost from sight she's still in memory dear. And that was in 1843. I'd love to know who this is. All we can see is SUR of the, which I expect says of this parish, died, and we can't see the rest of the date, aged 100. Thou shalt come, and then something else, as a shock. Charles Broderick, son of W and C Broderick, fatally injured at the Tamworth Colliery, died May the 24th, 1900, aged 23. This stone was erected by his fellow workmen and friends as a token of esteem, 1901. So here's the main entrance, which was reputedly brought from the priory. This is St Matthew's Church, Shuttington. Simple, beautiful. So intimate. There's only one piece of stained glass in here, and it's on a topic which I covered in a recent video actually. This is the descending Holy Spirit dove. There's some fascinating history in here. This plaque here is to Dorothy Sarah Robinson of Alvecote Grange, and she took an interest in the restoration of the church in the early 1900s. This one recognises the restoration in 1908 to 1909, named the vicar and wardens at the time, and the architect W.H. Bidlake. The builder, the stonemason who was responsible for the restoration, was Henry Mitchell from Tamworth. Here are the war memorials. This one is the Roll of Honour. So this is all the people who served from the parish. This one here shows those who died in the First World War. And here the one who died in the Second World War, Leslie Norman Leedham. There's a fabulous organ here. Nobody knows how old this font is, but it is an old covered font, rather beautiful, and just like the church, a simple one, in memory of Alice Rose Shilcock and Florence Edith Shilcock, who donated the heating, the electric heating. Before the electric heating, they just had a stove here. I've just spotted the bell rope in here. There is a current appeal for the restoration of this church, so if you wish to donate anything, there is a link. I'll put it in the description below. Thank you for joining me here. See you again soon.